Disclaimer: all views expressed on What Makes Us Fire are solely those of the person or persons giving them. What Makes Us Fire does not represent or claim to represent any particular city or fire department, and therefore make the claim that all views and standpoints are affiliated with What Makes Us Fire and with What Makes Us Fire only. Any mention of certain fire departments or cities within the interviews are solely for informational and opinion-based dialogue. In short, if you have a problem with what's published, just say something about it and don't be a Richard. What's up, What Makes Us Fire family? This is Josh with the What Makes Us Fire podcast and What Makes Us Fire Foundation. Today on the episode, we have a very special guest. His name is Joshua Scales, better known on his social media platforms as Officer Scales. We definitely talk about what it was like for him having the stigma and the idea of what he thought about his profession. Cops, to be specific. He takes us through his journey on how he realized that his outlook on that profession was a little bit clouded, and how he opened up his mind to really evaluate what it was and why it was that he had the ideas that he had. He takes us through the mental health aspect that he dealt with and what it was for him that pushed him through. Very spiritual, actually. Josh is an amazing human being. He's part of the ride-along crew with Officer Udi and Officer Kingry. He's an amazing man. They're building something great. So I'm going to let him kind of tell the story, you guys. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show.
Yeah, we got to be somewhere at 10:30. I was like, all right, I'm going to text him, man.
Oh, man. God dang it, Kingry. And you know what? I told him, I freaking told him, he never confirmed for Thursday of next week. So he was just like, yeah, Thursday next week works good. And I'm like, all right, cool. What time? Nothing. Nothing. He was doing so good, man. He was doing so good. He was responding. And then as soon as I gave him a day and time, he just stopped.
It's hard to keep King's attention, man. I'll ask him about it. He's asleep right now, though.
Oh, man. I want you to go freaking wake him up and videotape the whole thing one more.
He's my chauffeur right now, sorry.
So how's it been going, man? How's your week been going?
It's good, man. It's good, man. I mean, we just got here yesterday, man. So, first time coming to Indiana, man. So, it should be interesting, man. So King's gonna show us around today, man, and we're gonna see what happens, man. Is this like another ride-along thing you guys are doing? Nah, man. It's more so just brothers getting together and hanging out, man, and just spending some time together, you know.
All right then. Yeah. All right, brother. Well, Scales, man. I'm gonna first say thank you for coming on the What Makes Us Fire podcast, brother. Usually how we do this is real simple. We just sit and talk for about an hour and a half. I know you got a place to be. I know Kingry's being bossy and telling you when he can and cannot talk to somebody, whatever. I get it.
Apparently he's my supervisor. He's my sergeant.
Yeah. But I do appreciate you coming on the What Makes Us Fire podcast. I usually like to tell people I got you on the show. It's real simple. You saw Officer Sir Lancelot. You saw Sir Lancelot, that he was on the show, and he said you should check it out. You said that's what's up. I reached out, and here we are.
Yes, sir.
Real simple. Real simple. I appreciate you coming on, man. Yeah, we talked a little bit on the phone the other day, kind of let you know a little bit about what we are, what we're about, what we do, and you were all about it. And the reason why you're all about it is because you're actually kind of doing the same thing on your end with what you got going on. You're another officer that I'm talking to. I'm getting a lot of officers on the show, which is fine. We call it What Makes Us Fire, but we got a lot of police officers on. It's proving my theory that officers really, really, really do love talking to firefighters.
Yeah, we give firefighters crap, man. But the way I look at it, we all on the same team, man. You know what I'm saying? So we all got the same goal, and that's protecting people and saving lives, and so.
Absolutely. It's like a brother, sister, sibling rivalry, just having fun and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But you're doing the same thing, man. You're for lack of a better term, you're an influencer on social media. But on top of that, you're also a public servant. You're a civil service worker, and you're dedicating yourself and your life to helping other people. But you found another way to do this on a social media platform and helping other people. You're helping in another way. You're lifting spirits. You're giving people hope. That you're humanizing the badge, and you're just showing that you give a shit and you care, right? And so you found a different way to not only physically do the job that you're doing, but get on social media and give people hope, have them smile, make them feel good about themselves. And that's huge. It's a big thing. You're finding a different way to continue being a public servant without actually having the uniform on. And so I reached out. You said, yeah, let's do this. And here we are. So I really do appreciate it. We're going to get into your whole social media stuff and everything else like that. But what I like to do is I like to get a little bit of a background as to who you are.
Right.
I don't know if you want everybody to know your first name for real.
Oh, no, I'm good with it.
Okay.
The only thing the only thing I can't release is like the agency I work for.
Oh, no, I can't release the agency I work for either. Cool. So yeah, no. Yeah, I ain't gonna ask you exactly the department. I usually just ask the state or the area of the state, stuff like that.
That's cool.
But let's go before that. Me and you share the same first name. My name is Josh as well. Right. So, where did you come from, man? Where did you grow up? Where did the mind and heart of Joshua Scales come from?
Right. Yeah, man. I grew up in Greenville, North Carolina, man. Man, it was. I don't know if you know anything about Greenville, North Carolina, man, but it's kind of hit and miss, man. You got a really good side of the town, and then you got a really, really horrible side of the town. And unfortunately, I grew up in a really, really horrible side of the town. And as bad as people may think that was, I think it was a blessing for me. Because it put me through some tough situations. It made me go through some tough times, but at the same time, it made me a tough individual. And that is what made me what I am today. Like I said, I grew up in Greenville, North Carolina. Single parent home. My dad left when I was, 6, 7. I had a twin sister. So, my mom was doing her best to take care of 2 twins by herself. So grew up trying to help my mom out, man. Seeing her deal with, I guess you can say after effects of being in a domestic situation with my father. And man, that was tough, man. That was definitely tough to see my mother go through that. The struggle she had to go through, not only having 2 kids, but having raised those 2 kids by herself and deal with her own things. That was tough, man.
When just real quick, because I like to get an idea of how people deal with those kind of things that happen to us, right? Like your father leaving single family home. My parents split when they were like 6 or 7. Rarely saw my father and stuff like that too. But I saw him, but it was rare. How did that affect you when you were able to realize exactly what was going on? Did it kind of make you lash out a little bit?
Bro, I was an angry individual, man. Angry as a kid, man. I went around. If you said something the wrong way, I'll punch you in the face. In school, I acted out because I was angry. I just didn't know how to channel that aggression, and even now, as a 28-year-old male, man, I'm not angry about it, but there are some days where, man, I just kind of sit in my patrol car in my office or whatever, man, and it sucks, man. It sucks, to think about how, like, all of the great things you've done in life and even some of the low moments you had in your life and your father wasn't even there to, get you through it or talk to. For me, man, it was just finding something that I was good at, man. And it's always been, writing music, playing sports, man. So once I got into that, man, I was able to channel that aggression into those specific things, man.
When did you find that out about yourself? when you find out that doing those things were going to be that kind of allowed you to bring you back down to a little bit of a cool, calm.
Man, it took me a while, man. I mean, I went to counseling. Man, I was on medicine for ADHD. My mom even considered potentially sending me away to a group home. I mean, I was off the chain, and that's no discredit to my mom on parenting skills. I mean, I was off. I was just off the chain. You know what I'm saying? It got to a point where me and my mom would get into it, and I would tell her, I don't care what you say. I'm leaving. I'm gonna do what I want to do. So my mom, potentially sending me to a group home wasn't because she was tired of dealing with me as a parent. It was more so that she was trying to save my life because we were in such a rough neighborhood. And if I was out running the streets, it would have been a bad situation for myself. But man, when I didn't start playing football until middle school. And that was kind of when the fire clicked for me. Now, as far as writing music, I think I started writing right before middle school. I was going to church with my mom, and some guys in my church started rapping. And I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. They're getting on stage and rapping and making people, dance and stuff. So I kind of got tired of it with them, man, and started learning how to write, rhyme and that's when the rapping started. So it's probably, I don't know, it's probably 8, 9 years old.
Man, you're lucky that actually started pretty early, man. You're able to find a little bit of an outlet pretty early on in life.
Yeah.
Side note, man, I think your mom did a pretty damn good job. Just looking from the outside in, man, your character and what you got going on, what you're doing, and how you treat people and how you talk to people, man. I think she did a pretty damn good job.
Yeah,
So I don't know her last name. But
Boyd.
Huh?
Boyd, B-O-Y-D.
Boyd, if you hear this show, damn good job, man. Damn good job. Growing up, man, as you're getting older and you're going through this and you had this life experience affect you, you find these outlets as you're getting older. When did you start thinking about what you wanted to do later on in life?
Even doing, man, and it's just a crazy story, man. But even through high school, bro, I still had that anger. 9th, 10th grade year. So with that being said, I got in trouble a lot in school. Finding outlets such as being funny, being a class clown, just making people laugh, and that was my way of kind of releasing the negative energy that I had inside. Granted, teachers took it in a negative light, and I was disrupting class when I shouldn't have been, but that was once again my way of kind of releasing things. So, like I said, being in trouble, obviously I had a pretty good connection with, the school resource officers. So, I think my 10th grade year, I was on lunch. One of the resource officers was like, hey, Scales, you should try this police explorer program we have at the police department. And I was like, nah, his name was Officer Dennis. We call him OD. But, I said, nah, man, I don't like the police, bro. Like, you cool, but I don't like the police. He was like, man, come on, man, just try it. Just try it for me. I said, all right, man. All right. But I ain't gonna be snitching on people. So, went signed up, man, and my homeboy signed up with me. And, we went, man, and, I got hooked, bro. I got hooked. I ended up working my way through the ranks and became, captain. And got to do probably over 120, 150 ride-alongs with our officers, man. And that gave me some behind-the-scenes time of learning who police officers really are, what they do, how they feel, things they deal with, how they handle calls. And I had some real life training as far as auxiliary stuff. So if we had National Night Out, they would bring us in and we would help out with traffic control. We did some training scenarios such as they did, and man, it just gave me a great vibe, like a family vibe, man. So I stayed through that, man, and stayed through that.
How old were you when you started doing that?
Dude, I was in high school. I want to say I was maybe 14, 15.
14, 15. Dang, so you were only a freshman, sophomore in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
So even then, man, like even still being in that, it's tough, man, and it's crazy how life circles back around, man. But when I started this, man, I got a lot of slack from my friends. Like, yo, bro, you messing with the police, bro? Like, come on, bro, that ain't cool. But something just made me stick with it, man, and I did. And then like I was my 11th grade year playing football, being a knucklehead because I was an athlete and pretty good. I was being recruited, and that coach, I got in trouble, and that coach came over and pretty much chewed me out, and he said, "Hey, if there is ever an opportunity, or if you ever want an opportunity to play for this school, you're gonna straighten up." And that was kind of like one of those things for me, like, bro, like if you want to play college football, you better straighten up, like, because coaches are looking at you now, like even in high school. It doesn't start once you step on that field. In college, it starts when you step on the field in the classroom now in high school, man. So between those two things, man, that's what turned my life around.
You hit on something that I want to kind of ask you about, and it's a little bit of a touchy subject.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is the show we're about talking about real life shit,
Right.
real life things, real life feelings. We don't want to sugarcoat anything or just kind of run over it, right?
Right.
You touched on your friends kind of giving you some shit about being in the police. Yeah, right. And I want to know exactly how that made you feel, and two, what your thoughts were about it at the time, right? Because you even mentioned earlier that you didn't really have a good taste in your mouth when it came to the cops and everything else like that. But I want to know where you think that idea came from, and where that do you think it's connected to a little bit of ignorance? And when I say ignorance, it's just a lack of education, or do you think it's like a community thing? Do you think it's man, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just a popular thought that people pick up.
No, it's definitely. I totally get what you're saying. It's definitely. It's a community thing, bro. I think it's a mixture of community and experience. The reason why I say that is because when I grew up, like I told you, I grew up in a rough neighborhood, right? Mm-hmm. So cops were there all the time, right? People getting locked up, people going to jail, stuff like that all the time, right? In my eyes, based off of things I was taught, things I've heard, that cops weren't for you. They were against you, right? And that's what I was taught. That's what I was raised, right? And that's what I was around every day. So, like us as human beings, we're like creatures of habit, right? So if you're around the same thing and you do the same thing and you hear the same thing over and over again, that's what you're gonna know, right? So not like the police is what I knew, right? That's how I was raised. I never had any other experience outside of hearing and seeing that the police were bad, quote unquote, right? Until I was able to get behind the scenes experience or opportunities to see who police officers really was and have my own judgment of who police officers are. So yeah, I think it's definitely a community thing. I think it's a thing that's taught. Now, have there been situations, and like I said, I may be moving forward, but have there been situations, because, racial inequality is a big thing now, right? Have there been situations where I felt like potentially I may have been racially profiled because I was in a predominantly white neighborhood or whatever neighborhood it may have been?
Right.
Yes, I do, right? Do I feel like those officers are wrong? Yeah. But guess what? I've always had respect for law enforcement, regardless of how much I hated them, how much I didn't like them. I've always had respect for them, right? Because that's one thing my mom taught me. Like, you respect everybody. You respect everybody until they no longer deserve respect. So like I said, situations where I've been in like that, yeah, like, all right, that's cool. You're wrong, but I'm going to respect you. You need something from me. You need my ID, you need my license, whatever. Boom, here it is. And I'm here today to tell that story. And I've never been in jail because I cooperate, So back to my friends, man, I've always been a resilient person. And I think that's because of some of my lifestyle things I've been through, such as my father leaving and, losing family members to, homicides and stuff like that. I think that resiliency kind of made me like, whatever, I don't really care what you think. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And I just seen it as rewarding, you know, like going to police explorers meetings on every other Monday was like being in Boy Scouts. Like it's something I look forward to. So yeah, it just kind of rolled off my back, to be completely honest.
It's interesting that you were able to do something like that, because it's like you said, you know, when a community hears over and over and over and over, it takes a lot. It takes something almost extraordinary for them to have the open-mindedness that you did, right, to change their mind. Having your own experiences where you got profiled and you believed it was wrong, you didn't allow that instance or that officer, whoever it was, you didn't allow yourself to dictate every single officer because of that one's actions, right? Why do you and we're going to talk about this a little bit, because I'm going to be honest, you're the first black officer I've had on the show.
Wow.
And I had my brother here who I work with at the fire department. He was the first black firefighter that I had on the show. And I like to ask the question because let's be honest, it's out there right now.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's out there right now. And I'm not afraid to talk about how this affects our mental state. Oh, yeah. How being who you are and your background, how that can actually shape how you think and how your stress levels work and all those other things that actually make a difference. And so, you know, if you're comfortable with it, I want to ask you, because these are things that can shape look, you're not the only black officer out there, right? You're not the only one that has to deal with, you know, the public jury, the public judge out there. So what I want to ask is, what do you think it was that allowed you to kind of, one, separate one instance from the whole? Mm-hmm. And then why do you think now people are having a little bit of a hard time doing it, where they'll see one bad act and they tie it to the whole group?
Right. I think one thing, when I was growing up, like, social media wasn't as big as what it is now, right? So you didn't have one video coming out and then it goes to millions of people in a matter of seconds, right? Like, you didn't have that stuff, right? But at the same time, when I was in school, we didn't have all of the sensitivity training that we have now, right? It was more about you learning about the history of how segregation was, right? And then how everybody fought for blacks, whites, Hispanics, people of all nationalities to be in the same room and share the same rights. And that's what we knew. When I went to football practice, I didn't look at my Caucasian teammates as a Caucasian teammate. I looked at them as a teammate. I didn't look at my classmates as a Caucasian classmate. I looked at them as a classmate. It's simple as that. I think when I was growing up, it was less about color and it was more about heart. And I think that's what we got away from. And that's what is wrong with, I think, the world nowadays, man. It's more about, well, you don't think this way, and you don't agree with me on this, and you're not my color, you don't know my struggle. And I mean, I just think people just aren't as open-minded as I was back in the days. I think there are a lot of great people who are out here open-minded, but I think there's too many parents, too many individuals are teaching their kids and raising their kids to think one way or no way, you know, either their way or the highway type.
Right. And that actually makes a lot of sense in that, again, props to your mother, because I think it definitely has a lot to do with how you were raised. But being able to look at the heart, and you said something about you don't know my struggle because of X, Y, and Z, right? And it's like, well, that's right. I don't know your struggle, but you don't know mine.
Correct.
Right.
And it doesn't even matter about color. And
it doesn't matter the color. It doesn't matter because look, struggle is struggle is struggle. Stress is stress is stress. Tragedy is tragedy is tragedy. It don't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what preference you have. Everybody has those things. They're different. Absolutely, they're different. But who are you to say one is worse than the other? You do not have the right to say that.
Right.
Nobody does.
And that's,
Nobody.
And that's one of the biggest things that upset me the most is when I hear people say, "Oh, I didn't get this opportunity because I'm oppressed." Like, no, bro. Like, the only oppression is our mindset, right? You oppress yourself with your mindset, because if you tell yourself that I can do this and I can do that and I want to do this and I see myself doing that, and you really commit to that, you will go do it. Like when I decided to be a police officer, for most people that don't realize this, law enforcement is what they say a predominantly white profession, right? That's what was taught to me, right? So people were saying, "Bro, there's no way they're gonna hire you. Da da da. You're black. You just get you a black. Da 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 da." Yeah, now I know I'm black. But we all say that we want more black officers. We want to see a change. Well, how can you make a change by just standing around? Like, you got to get in there and get your hands dirty.
Man, look, for everybody on YouTube, I was just pointing at him like, yes, 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 yes. Look, there's a saying we have in the fire department that I work for, right? There's just like, you can bitch about the change, you can bitch about wanting to change, you can bitch about wanting to change, or you can take the steps to be the change, to make the change happen.
Absolutely.
Which one's going to make the difference?
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Yep. You went around and you started making that difference. You're like, well, if we want this to happen, then we got to actually step up and do to make it happen, right?
Yeah. Like when I became a police officer, I told him, "Hey, yo, like I know I got to know my districts. I got to be in every district I know, but I want to be in the roughest district areas. I want to be in a district that we're getting calls and they're dangerous calls, and they don't like the police. You know why I want to be there is because I feel like because of my heart, because of my experiences in life, I deal with people in a very, very, very respectful manner. Now don't get me wrong. If I got to get up there, I will, right? But
I have a feeling you definitely have no problem getting up there, brother.
Right. I will, but I try for that not to be my first resort, right? But I want to be in those tough areas, like with my motivational speaking. I don't want to do, and this is no knock to any motivational speaker that does corporate speaking. I don't want to do corporate speaking. I want to go into rough neighborhoods. I want to go to the Boys and Girls Club that kids are struggling. Their parents may or may not be in their life, and I want to talk with them. That's why I want to talk with them. That's why I want to impact. Right? Like, mad respect to the people that got it together. Mad respect to the kids that got the silver spoon, gold spoon, whatever you want to say. Love you guys, and you should be thankful for what you have, and I'm glad you have that. But like I said, I want to interact. I want to be a blessing to those people who are struggling. I want to give them hope.
Look, you want to be a blessing to some kids that have different struggles than other kids. Right, you're just focusing on a different struggle. That's all it is. Absolutely. You're just focusing on a different struggle.
Absolutely.
And that again, this is a lot about something about your heart. And I might have an opportunity for you to actually be a part of something similar to that later on. So I'm gonna let you know. Going through the process of becoming a police officer. Going through that process. Like you started early though. You went through the junior program, so you got a little bit of a background. Everything was going good. But once you got out of high school and you started actually like, all right, this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? What was that going to school? Now here in Texas, they have they call it the TCLO, the Texas Commissioner's License Officer, Peace, Safety, something brother.
Right. Yeah, we call it BLET, Basic Law Enforcement Training here.
Okay.
So for me, man, I got out of high school. Actually, I went to college to play football, and man, I was living a dream, man. Like, college football player. I tore my labrum in my shoulder. So hey, man, football's done, right? Like, second time I've done it because I did it in high school too. So at that point in time, football's done. So recovered, physical therapy. Hey, now what am I going to do with my life, right? Well, I don't really have any training, anything. I mean, I took auto tech mechanic, or I took auto mechanic in school. I took graphic design, so I can do that. But I don't know if I really want to do that. Hey, I've been in police explorers for 4 years. Let me go talk. Let me go talk to the major. So I went talk to the major of the police department. Hey, man, what do you think about this, man? Well, you're old enough to go to police academy now. You know what? You're right. So I put in all my paperwork at police academy. Got sponsored, and I mean, it was just the best decision of my life, man. Now granted, going to police academy, I'm still living in the hood, so I'm walking in and out of my house in a police cadet recruit uniform. So I'm getting looks. Yeah, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, oh, you want to be cop? Da 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 da. But man, my mom was proud of me. I think she was a little scared, because she knew what the world was, but she was proud of me, man, and, that motivated me, man. I mean, that motivated me. My dad's in prison, so that gave me some motivation too. Like, I don't want to be like him. I want to be different. I don't want to be seen anything like him. So, it was definitely a trying situation because I, once again, was trying to help my mom with bills. So I would work from 7 a.m. to about 3:30 p.m. I would get out there. I'd get off of work. I would have my police academy uniform on my book bag. I would get dressed, jump on my bike, ride my bike up to police academy, and go to class from 5 to 10, PT from 10 to 11, go to bed, start all over. So it was an experience.
It's crazy that people have no idea the struggle and what we sacrifice just to even train to do these jobs that we do, right? Absolutely. People have no idea. I'm like you. I work graveyard.
Right.
7 p to 7 a.
Right.
And then from 8 a.m. to about 2 p.m. I was in class. Right. I can't tell you how many times I fell asleep in class, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm like, thank God the instructor understood that I just got off work. Right. I worked in an ER at the time as an ER tech. So, the instructor was really cool. He understood, right? But at the same time, if it got too much, he'd wake my ass up.
Right.
And they were lucky enough because I opened my mouth. I was like, hey, if I don't have to work the next night, are you cool if I come to the night class? Right. That way I can get some rest.
Right.
And so he allowed me to jump in between. Now these are two separate classes. They're totally and he allowed me to jump in between. Right. So, but I was able to, I opened my mouth up to ask for help. I got the help.
Yeah, man. I had a lot of nights of standing in the corner so I can stay awake in class.
Yeah, I know exactly how that feels, brother. Yeah. Going through the training and everything, man. Did you ever have a point in time where you were like, oh shit, this might be a little bit more than I thought. This might be a little bit more than I might be prepared for?
No, I didn't, man. And I think the reason why is because I was in police explorers for so many years. I had the experience. I had the training scenarios already. I really did. I think just going to the academy was more of just a prerequisite that I had to do to become a police officer. So I just had to get through it. So,
when did you get hired on to a department? Again, don't tell me the department you're with.
Shoot, man! I actually got hired a week before I graduated the academy.
You were one of the lucky ones.
Yeah. That was in 2013.
2013. And you're still with that same department?
No, I left that department. I'm with another agency now.
Okay.
About 3 hours south.
Okay. So, in essence, you've been a professional peace officer for almost 8 years now.
Yeah.
You're still pretty young in your career.
Yeah.
In those 8 years, have you had any experience where you may have second guessed your decision?
Yeah, man. I mean, even now, bro, I'll be completely honest with you. With everything going on now, man, there's a lot of times where I say, man, this is, bro, I'm done with this. Like I ain't signed up to be hated every time I step out of my car, every time I step out of my, my house. I might even sign up for that. But, yeah, man, there's been times and even situations I've dealt with, man, whether it be involving kids or, some type of gruesome scene or something like that, man. There's been times where you just break down, man, and it just feels, it's a lot, it's a lot. But for some reason, man, I'm still in the profession, man. God just keeps, giving me a reason to stay in, man. I mean, I think, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I had my paperwork typed up, man. I'm done. I'm done. And, I was dealing with a situation where we had to, take a mother into custody. She wasn't under arrest, but she had to be detained, due to her action. And, her son was there and he was screaming at the top of his lungs. And I remember picking him up and kind of consoling him and like, listen, man, it's going to be okay. And, I remember like his aunt or somebody had came and took him from me in like an aggressive fashion. And I was like, it's kind of rude, but whatever. But it gave me the opportunity to go talk to his mother and say, listen, like, you got to calm down. The moment you calm down, I can get you out of these handcuffs. Like, I want to get you out of these handcuffs because I don't want you to be in handcuffs in front of your kid. But I can't allow you to be out here just acting crazy. Like, these handcuffs are for your safety and then for everybody else's safety out here too. So just calm down. So she did calm down. And I was able to take her out of handcuffs. And once that happened, her son, kind of came up to me and I remember I kneeled down when I was talking to him and he showed me his toy and out of nowhere, he gave me a hug. And that hug, man, was like, wow, this is why I do what I do. Like, this is why I do what I do, man, because I'm telling you, man, I was planning on being out that week, bro. This was like a Wednesday. I had my paperwork typed up. I was ready to be out that week, bro. Like I was going to put my paperwork in that Friday. So, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how God works. And, gives you those little signs of why you do what you do,
It is a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
When we're doing something and we start questioning, is this the right thing? I'm dealing with all this stuff and the stress, and why would I put myself through this? It's hard. It hurts in more ways than one. And then all of a sudden something happens and you're like, well, damn, this is bigger than me.
Right.
I'm part of something bigger than myself. Mm-hmm. I have a purpose here. It's crazy how that happens. And I love the fact that you use your faith to kind of guide you, and you use your faith as an explanation for your signs that are given to you.
Right.
For me, faith is a big thing as well. Absolutely. And it just, the signs are crazy.
Yeah.
I want to get a little bit more into this mental health aspect part of the job a little bit. And you actually touched on it a little bit here. Like, you were stressed. Mm-hmm. You were so stressed out about what was going on that you're getting ready to just say, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. What kind of stress was it for you? How did it, was it PTSD from shit you see? Was it depression because you felt like you weren't doing enough? Was it depression from your past, your history? Like, what was it for you how would you describe your mental health when you started? And then how did it change as you were going through your career?
Oh yeah. So I got hired when I was 20 and a half, right? Which is younger than most police officers. Most police officers are 21 or even 24, 25. Like, a lot of people don't decide to be police officers until they're like 25, 26 years old, right? So I'm 20 and a half. I'm ready to go. Like, lack of better terms, I'm full of piss and vinegar, like they say, right? So I'm ready to go. Hey, let's go help people. Let's go get bad guys off the street. Let's do it, right? And then over the years, man, you can just start seeing it wear and tear, man. You see your first traumatic experience. You see your first suicide. You see your first homicide. You see, kids burning in a car from a collision, and there's nothing you can do about it. Your little fire extinguisher that you have in the car ain't gonna help. There's nothing
Yeah,
you can do.
you gotta call the real heroes. Come.
I knew that was coming. You bring your little wee truck, wee. But
Come on now.
and they block off the road,
You're just jealous because ours is bigger.
and they block the roadway off so nobody else can get by. But nah, man. But dealing with that stuff, man, and it starts to take a wear and tear on you, man, and people don't even realize it. And half the time, you don't even realize how much of a wear and tear is taking on you until it hits you, right? So like, man, I think my first, like like I said, I had seen homicide, seen suicides, seen deaths, children in messed up situations. But we went to a hotel that a guy committed suicide, and it was like we arrived within 3 minutes of him actively shooting this shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he didn't open the door. Obviously, so when we made entry into the room, to smell the gunpowder and to see the blood still just running. Well, and I've never told anybody this. So to see that was an experience. And I remember after we secured the scene, going to get in my car, I sat in my car, I cried, and then I got back out my car after I dried my eyes and started taking the report as if nothing happened. I didn't let any of my coworkers know. I just cried. Nobody knew, like not even the family. Nobody knew, And the reason I cried is because I was like, man, what would have happened if I would have went in earlier? Like, would he still be alive? Have I came in contact with this guy? Is there something I could have said to this guy before this today? Like, what could I have done to prevent this, right? So I kind of took that kind of personal, man. And that's when, like, things started kind of going downhill, man. And it went from that to, everything kind of coming together. Like my childhood, not necessarily, I ain't gonna say not necessarily being where I wanted to be in life, but, by this time I thought I would be married with kids and, I wasn't there yet and, I just didn't have the money that I wanted to have. So, bills started, so everything just kind of just coming down at one time, man. And, I think when people start to suffer from any type of mental illness, man, I think it's like a snowball effect, man. Anything can trigger it, man. And then normally when you get one trigger, other triggers start coming in, man. And for me, man, it got really, really bad. I mean, like I feel like I was in a really, really dark place, man. Like a really, really dark place. And no one would ever know it. You know what I mean? I was still walking around with a smile on my face, but, some of my coworkers started picking up on it. It was more of hey man, you want to go eat? Nah, man, I'm good. I'm gonna eat by myself. I'm gonna eat in the car. Or I'm just not gonna eat at all, right? So some of my coworkers picked up on it. And, I ended up going to counseling and talking to somebody or whatever about it, man. And that definitely made me feel better being able to talk to somebody and say, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is what's in my head. This is what I'm thinking, right? But I still struggled with it, right? And I still struggle with it sometimes. Like, it's just more so of knowing, like, now I have this fight in myself that I know what it's like to be in a real, really, really dark place. Like a dark place so much, in fact, that you're like, yeah, I'm not getting up out of bed today. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to lay here with my head under my pillow in a dark room and I'm going to be okay, right? Now I have this fire inside of me that says, I'm never going back there again. Like, because I know how bad it felt, and I know how good I feel now. I'm never going back there again. And that leads me to do what I do now. Like, hey man, I get it. I know what it's like to be in dark period. I know what it's like to lose someone. I know what it's like to feel like you just lost everything. I know what it's like to struggle with whether you want to keep living. I know what it's like, but I'm not going to let you get there. I'm not going to let you get to that dark spot. And if there's anything I can say or do, to keep you out of that spot, then I'm going to do it. I don't care how long I have to stay up, or how little sleep I get. That's just what I'm going to do. think that's where it's at, man.
But couple of things. First, I want to say thank you for allowing us and sharing with us a little bit of inside your head, man.
Yeah.
It's hard for some people to do that. It's hard for people to admit when they were breaking or when they were broken. A lot of people think it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a machismo thing. It's a pride thing or a weakness, right?
And just not to cut you off, but it's also tough for us as first responders, man, because mental health is everything in our profession, right? And if let's be legit, bro, like our agencies they want us to come to them and say, listen, man, I'm really struggling with this, right? But for a lot of us, man, if we came to them and said, I'm struggling with this, that is likely your job. Very, very likely, because mental health is such an issue, right? Like, and if you show any sign of, maybe potentially harming yourself or whatever, especially as a police officer when you carry a gun every day, you got to get off the street. You know why? Because one, that's a liability issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I have seen a lot more agencies start to introduce in-house counseling, employee assistance programs. So, man, I mean, if I'm talking to a first responder and there's first responders that hear this right now, man, if you're struggling, man, and you're thinking about thoughts of harming yourself or just struggling with anything, man, talk to somebody, man. Talk to somebody you trust, even if it's a coworker, just talk to somebody you trust, man. I mean, it definitely helps. It definitely helps. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's true. And we're actually going to talk a little bit more about that a little later. But I want to go back to the call that affected you, the suicide in the hotel room, right? Why do you think it is, or why did you think it was? And I think we kind of touched on that a little bit. But why did you think like you couldn't share how that made you feel right then and there with the coworkers around you? Man, why couldn't and then you had to go hide it. You felt like you had to go hide how it made you feel. Because why? Well, you're afraid people are going to think you can't do your job? No, you can be sad and still do your job. You can be upset and still do your job. I don't think people really understand it.
Right. Man, I think there's a lot of things that went into it, man. One is when I was growing up, not necessarily inside of my home, but outside of the home, I was taught, yo, bro, you don't cry, bro. You're a man. Don't cry. You don't let people see you cry, right? But two, man, especially for law enforcement, man, there's this stigmatism around law enforcement that you have to be so tough and you have to always be put together. And, I think that's what I was living in, man. And at the time, I was a SWAT guy, man. So that added on to the whole level of toughness and, being squared away, man. So yeah, you're right, man. At the time I felt like I couldn't, be like, man, this sucks, man, and I think there's no doubt in my mind that millions of police officers across the world has done this as well, or come home at night and cry. So it sucks, man.
Yeah, there's something to be said about having mental fortitude, right? Having mental fortitude to do a job. Look, we're normal people doing an abnormal job, right? And the things we see are abnormal. We're dealing with abnormal shit. Our brains naturally were not meant to process the shit that we see on a daily basis. Maybe once or twice in our lifetimes, we're meant to, our brains can handle that trauma. We can work through it. But when we do it every damn day, every day we go to work, our brains are not meant. They're not made to handle shit like that.
Yeah.
And so there does take some mental fortitude, right? There does take some mental fortitude, but that's not to say that just because you don't have that fortitude doesn't mean you can't learn it.
Correct.
But if you just hide it and you just try to push it back, you actually, it's going to happen. What happened to you? You started finding yourself slipping. You started finding yourself feeling more and more down, and you didn't really know why, but it was just happening, right?
Right. Absolutely, man.
You mentioned about your, first responders speaking up a little bit more, right? Because we have this idea that if we speak up, shit, that's our job.
Right.
They're going to take us off the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering where that came from, where that idea came from, because
so for me though, I've seen it happen. Like I've seen it happen, and obviously like with
I want to. When you say you saw it happen, do you mean like they fired that person?
And that's what I was going to say. I can't say that I know the full scenario of it, right? Because obviously they're never going to release the full details of what that person was going through out of respect, and I get that. But it was said that this person was having some type of mental illness issues, right? Possibly suicidal. And when this person left, like when this person was working with us one night, and then next thing you know, person no longer with the agency. And then like, like what's going on? Like there was no, from what we know, there was no IA investigation, right? No internal affairs investigation, no violations, no type of, resignation. So it was just like, it was weird, man. It was weird.
Do you think maybe it was a possibility through that process? Maybe he just realized the job wasn't for him anymore?
Yeah, I would really like to think so, man. And I really hope so. But just naturally as a human being, man, your thought process is like, like this person just got canned, for expressing their feelings, especially when you don't know the full details, man, and you're only left to kind of try to put pieces together,
Yeah, it's crazy how our brains like to make up the stories in between, right?
Right.
We make up the possibilities, and then, but that's what we do with regular stress too. Mm-hmm. How did you start dealing with your stress, man? How did you start coping with it? Because you said you went through a pretty dark time where you started distancing yourself. You started, not only now are you starting to worry about the stresses on the job, now you're bringing your own personal life stresses, and now you're tying all those stresses with your work stress, and it's like, God dang, when is this going to stop?
Yeah.
And what was it for you that started the healing process, the opening up process? What was it for you that allowed you to say, you know what, I do need help with this. I need to go talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm. So man, for me, man, I started playing like semi-professional football, and that was kind of like, I thought it was going to be relieving, but it wasn't, bro. And that's really when I knew there was a big issue, man, because football is the love of my life, right? And anytime I was on the football field, I was happy. But it got to a point where I just didn't care, right? So that's how I knew something was wrong. I was actually laying on the couch one day, man, and I was watching a movie called I'm in Love with a Church Woman on Netflix. And this movie is about pretty much a guy who was a drug dealer. He made so many mistakes. He harmed, killed people, man, sold a lot of dope, man. Done a lot bad, man. He went to a party one day and he met this girl. He ended up falling in love with this girl. This girl was a really, really strong church-going woman. And she didn't judge him when they first met. Like, she didn't judge him at all. He was in the process of trying to get out of the drug game, and she didn't judge him. And they ended up falling in love, and he ended up giving his life to God. And with that being said, I remember during this process of him giving his life to God, she gets in a motor vehicle collision, and she is in a coma, and they don't know if she's gonna make it. And he's by her bedside, and he's struggling. And I remember him leaving out of the chapel, and he was trying to be so strong when her parents walked in. And I remember him leaving out of the bedroom or the hospital room when her parents walked in. He's like, I'll be right back. But he was being so strong. And then he walked into the chapel at the hospital, and that is when he broke down. There was a big, stained glass window of Jesus. And he walked up to it, and he was like, good, I'm glad you're here. I've been needing to talk to you. And he was like, yeah, I know we ain't talked in a while, but I've been going to church, and I've been giving my tithes and offering, and I've been reading your little precious little book. He's quoting the Bible and saying, he's like, when you took my mom from me, that damn near took me. It damn near broke me, but I ain't say nothing. I kept moving, God. but now you want to take Vanessa from me? He's like, nah, bro, that can't happen. He was like, I'm the one that's done the dirt. I'm the one that's done the bad. Like, take me instead. And he's like, God, I give you my life. I've given you everything you wanted. Like, I've done everything you said in the Bible. And man, that scene right there, bro, is what changed my life around completely. Like, it took me from such a dark period to like, hey man, there's hope. There's hope. And that is kind of when my motivational speaking career kind of started, bro. Cause I was like, yo, like, wow, like, I can do this. I can get through all the things I'm going through. Like, and man, that's kind of what turned it around for me, man, to be honest.
It's hard for me to say anything to that. I mean, when somebody says that faith brought them around, man, and their love for God and Jesus, and getting a sign, you got a sign from a movie, man. From a movie changed your mind, right?
What's crazy is I was going through a point in time where I was questioning God. You hear me? Like, he was like,
absolutely.
You need to come to church. And dude, I would get upset. Like, bro, stop inviting me to church. Like, I'll come to church when I'm ready. Like, I'm not there. You feel me? And that's crazy because I grew up in church. Like, I grew up in church. So for me to get upset about somebody inviting me to church or trying to force me to come to church, man, that's a scary feeling, bro. That's a scary feeling, bro. Like, I even thought to myself, like, bro, like, am I possessed? Like, is there something inside of me right now that has me feeling this way, man? So that movie, man, is forever be a light in my life, man.
When you saw that movie, what steps did you take? Once you found that yeah, it can get better, did you take steps did you start reaching out to counselors? Did you start reaching out to therapists? Did you start reaching out to friends? What was your process? What was your process on starting to get a little bit better?
Yeah, man. The agency I was with at the time, man, I talked with the chief, man, and I went through employee assistance program, man, and started doing some counseling. Chief was really cool, man. Gave me some time off to kind of get myself together. Paid time off, man. So, which in my head I'm kind of scared because I'm like, what's going on here? Like, yo, am I about to be fired? Like, but man, it all worked out for me, man. Went through counseling and was able to, express myself, and it was just really like doing what we're doing now, just talking. And entered the session counseling. Was like, bro, I get it. I see where things can go wrong, man. But I think you're perfectly fine. I think you might have got bent out of shape a little bit, for lack of a better term. But you just gotta talk. And he's like, everything's gonna be okay. It's just a healing process, And this is what you can do to heal, and this is what you should stay away from. But he also said something that burying your problems is not going to resolve your problem. When you initially cut yourself, yeah, you put a Band-Aid on it, right? For a couple moments, it started bleeding, right? But eventually, you got to take that Band-Aid off, and you got to let air get to it if you want it to fully heal correctly, right? And that's the way I handle life now. Like, okay, yeah, I took this blow, I took this wound, and I might put a Band-Aid on it for a little bit just to stop the bleeding. But eventually, I got to take that bandage off, man.
I actually really enjoyed your story here, because you took the step that a lot of people are afraid to take.
Right.
They talk to their superior. Right. They talk to their chief.
Right.
And you're still working.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get fired.
Right.
They gave you your time off. They got you. Hey, you know what? Go get right. Come back. Get a release form. Just like if you're physically hurt, right? If you're physically hurt, you call in sick. They want you to bring a doctor's note saying you're good to go back to work. It's the same thing with mental health, y'all. Just because you're having a hard time does not mean you are going to lose your job. Mental health can be debilitating, but it doesn't have to be.
Right. But that's if you let it get to that point.
Correct. And even if you do get to that point, if you open up, like I tell everybody, if you start the conversation, Let people know where you're at. Let people know that you're trying to get better. There's a way to get it done to where all these ideas in your head that you think you might lose something, you ain't gonna lose nothing.
Why?
The only thing you're gonna lose is the stress that's affecting you right now.
Absolutely. I mean, if you ask me, from the point in time when I was in that dark period, I would have never thought that I would be in the position I'm in today, as far as being an influencer and so many people looking up to me and saying, "Hey, man, your words changed my life." And I tell people a lot of times, like, I expect like some of my videos that went viral, like, yo, you think I'm talking to you? I'm talking to myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, these words come off like I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to myself, you know? This video is made so I can look at it and say, hey, bro, like, practice what you preach, bro. So,
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing all this, man. I appreciate you sharing what you did and how you went about it, because I think there's a lot of us out there, civil service members specifically, right? First responders, military. There's a lot of us out there that are just afraid to say something.
absolutely.
We're afraid to say something, man. And so we have all this stress. We want to get help, but now we have the stress of opening up. Right. And now we have this stress of what's going to happen if I open up? What's going to happen? So it's just stress on top of stress on top of stress. The thing is the only way it's going to get better is if you start the conversation. So look, I always say there's 3 conversations you need to have, right? The first one is the hardest conversation to have. It's the hardest. And that's the conversation with yourself. It's that sitting down, being okay with and realizing that, you know what? Yeah, there's something wrong. There's something ain't right. I need help. I need to get help. And finally being okay with admitting to yourself that you need help and knowing that you're going to take the steps to go get that help. And it's not, look, how hard is it for us to admit that we got a broken arm?
Oh, it's not hard at all.
Right. How hard is it for us to admit that, you know, we got a cold, we got the flu?
Hard. Well, not hard.
Mental health is a disease, right? Depression is a disease. Anxiety is the disease. PTSD is a disease. You know, the thing is mental health when you have something wrong, it's actually your brain not firing correctly on a biological level.
Right, absolutely.
Right. So having that first conversation with yourself saying, you know what? I don't know what it is, but I got to be okay with knowing that I'm not okay.
Right.
Like, I got to be okay with knowing I'm not. It's okay to not be okay. And right. I have to be okay with that.
Absolutely.
Right? That's the hardest conversation, because once you have that conversation and you're aware and you're okay with that, you're okay with admitting to yourself, yeah, I'm a little bit broken right now, but it's okay because I want to try. Now that I'm okay with admitting it to myself, now I'm going to try to fix it.
Wow.
The second conversation you need to have are with the people that are closest to you, man.
Wow.
Your coworkers, your mother, your father, your spouse, your kids, your friends, your family. You need to open up to them.
Mm-hmm.
You need to tell them, hey, I'm not okay right now, but it's okay that I'm not okay right now because I'm going to try to get better.
Wow.
So if you see me down, it ain't you.
Wow.
It ain't you. You know, that it's just me. I'm processing. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know what it is that's bothering me, but I'm working on it. And that allows them to know, okay, hey, he's down right now. It's not us. And they don't have to feel like they have to try fixing you constantly, because that's what we want to do for the people we love. We want to, man, they're down. Hey, don't worry about that. Think of it this way. Think of it that way. Well, that doesn't help.
Wow.
I know you're trying to help. That don't help. But telling them and opening up to them and letting them know that what they're doing doesn't help, and that I understand that you're trying to help. I appreciate it, but that's not it. That's what you're telling me is not going to help right now, because it's something more than that.
Wow.
And you're respectful when you tell them that. It allows them to know, okay, all right, thank you for telling me. I know it's not me. I know you're trying to do you. Awesome. And then that third conversation you need to have, professional.
Yeah.
You need to talk to a professional, because they're the ones that are going to be able to diagnose you. They're the ones that are going to be able to say, you know what, you're probably dealing with depression. Hey, you're probably dealing with anxiety. Hey, you might have a little bit of an addiction. Hey, you know, they're going to give you the tools needed so you can take the steps to get better.
Right.
the overall aspect is that it all falls on you.
Yeah, starts with you.
Starts with you, right? You're not going to be able to fix yourself looking for somebody else to fix you.
Right.
It don't work that way, right? You
Right.
got a broken arm, you got to go get help.
Right.
You know, you can try to fix it yourself, but it ain't going to heal right.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, so those are the three conversations. Let's tell everybody that those are the things you need to have. And it sounds like you had that conversation with yourself, almost not necessarily with yourself. Like God definitely jumped in there for a little bit, you know, and that's an amazing thing because you allowed yourself to open up to hear that message, to see that sign. And some people sometimes are just too much in a dark place that they can't even see those signs either.
Right.
When you're going through that process, Josh, when did you start realizing, you know what, I'm starting to get a handle on this. I'm starting to feel better about myself. I'm starting. Obviously, you're still gonna have some slips, trips.
Right.
You're still gonna find yourself in a dark place every now and then, but you're allowing yourself to be okay with going to that space now because you know you have a process of healing.
Yeah, man. Big steps of faith. So I left the agency I was with at the time, right? And I went and I played professional football, indoor football, arena football. And, I thought it was everything I wanted, you know, so many kids want to be able to say I played at a professional level of football, depending on whatever it is, or, you know, just athleticism or athletic, period. And I thought it was going to be like everything I wanted, but it wasn't, right? I was missing law enforcement, and that's what led me to get back in. But that small break that I had between when I left my agency and I went and played football, which was only a couple months, gave me enough time to kind of get some time for myself and say, all right, bro, there's two ways you can go. All right, you can be miserable, or you can freaking get back up on your feet and you can make a change. Once again, we're back to making a change. You can make a change. Like I said, I had already talked to the counselors. So I had already kind of got the tools from them and suggestions of, hey, this is what you should do, right? So I took those tools and I mixed it in with what I love, such as football, right? And when I was able to take a break and take a step back for a little bit, even if it was a 1 week vacation, 2 week vacation, whatever it may be, I took all that stuff, mixed it together, and it just seemed to be the right solution. I started feeling myself smile a little bit more. My music started becoming a little more happier. I can tell you, dude, I got songs out that I got songs that I've never released, right? It's just been like something where I just stand in front of the microphone and I just let my feelings out. And they were never meant to be released to, you know, the general public per se, you know. So, like I said, man, to answer your question, I started smiling a little bit more, started feeling like, okay, let's get up. Let's be great today. Let's be productive until I got into this routine. And now, man, bro, if you catch me laying in bed past 9:30, I'm sick. You know what I'm saying? Or I just got off work at 7 o'clock in the morning or something like that. But, I got this motto, man, and the people around me hate it, bro. The kids hate it. Listen, successful people aren't laying in bed till 10:30 at night, 10:30 in the morning. You need to get up. Let's get up. Let's grind. I don't care if it's making your bed or whatever. Let's grind. Let's do something productive. And that's me, man. I just can't stay around the house all day, man. So when I started seeing that routine, man, that is when I knew, like, okay, bro, I'm getting better. I'm getting better because, like I said, when I was in that dark period, bro, I would lay in bed all day if I could, like, and just not move. So that's how I knew, man.
Bro, I had no idea you played arena football.
Yeah.
Was it like XFL or anything like that?
AFL.
AFL? Okay, cool. I'm gonna have to go find a video.
Yeah, man. They're out there on YouTube, bro.
Yeah. I'll find the video. You know what? Here's what I'll do. at the beginning of the show, I'll go ahead and put a little clip of you playing in there
There
somewhere.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Also, I'm gonna ask you. You got music, right?
Yeah. I got a song called Grind Time that I sing. Grind Time.
Would you be cool? Would you be okay with me using that as the intro music to the show?
Yeah, I got you. That's cool.
Yeah?
That's cool. Totally fine, bro.
Awesome. All right. Side note. I want to say thank you for letting me dive into the whole mental health aspect of it all with you. I want to say thank you for being open and honest with it. And being able to hear my point of view and sharing your point of view. I want to say thank you for sharing your history a little bit and kind of giving us an idea of where you came from. That's the whole point of this, right?
Right.
And this is going to tie into our next subject. You gave us a history of who you were growing up, right? You let us know that, like a lot of other people in this world, in communities now, you struggle just as much as people out there were struggling. You have the same type of story. Not the same exact story, but the same type of story that a lot of people out there have right now.
Right. Absolutely.
TikTok, bro. What in God's name possessed a mid-20s man, police officer, to get on a social media app that was previously made for teenagers to do dances and everything else?
Yeah.
What the hell possessed you to get on social media and start making videos? And then how did you get to the point where you're making the content you're making now? Because here's the thing. I went through some of your content, right? I got to be honest with you. I didn't even know. I saw you on the ride along once or twice, and with all the guys, King Gray, UD, and all the guys, and TR, and I was like, man, yeah. I was like, who is this guy? Like, I know a couple of these other guys. Who's this guy? Like, who's this guy here? And so I went to go look. God damn, you want to talk about positive? You want to talk about lifting up? You want to talk about spiritual? Oh man, dude, you put some really good shit out there.
Yeah.
Right? And it's uplifting. And you're real. You're straight to the point when it comes to what you want to say and what you want to do and what you're trying to put out there. But starting off, what the hell possessed you to get on social media? Because look, let's be honest, man. You are a social media influencer.
Right.
You are, right? It's weird to think that we can become this.
Oh yeah, it is.
I'm nowhere near, y'all's level. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get the word out. I'm trying to share an idea. And it's slowly growing. But people like you, people like Kingry, people like Lance, they're Lancelot, people like Pops 951, Eagle, all these great people getting on here on this show and sharing their stories, sharing how they're trying to make a difference. All the while, people are learning. Oh, that's just a normal guy that went through the same shit I went through.
Yep.
That's just a normal guy that still deals with some demons every now and then.
Yeah.
How are they finding the strength to do this and still try to help other people?
Yeah.
And the fact that you're coming on the show and allowing us and getting us a little bit of an insight to that, I gotta say thank you. But again, back to the point, what the hell possessed you to get on social media on TikTok?
Yeah, man. So if you scroll all the way to the bottom of all the videos I have, man, I got on TikTok because of the video editing aspect, right? You can do some really cool video editing aspect things. So at the time I was working out real hard because I wanted to, I was trying to get over to Canada for football. So I was working out real hard. So I was just doing some video editing on it. So I did a couple videos here and there, man. I was like, whatever. And then one day, man, I shot a motivational video of it. And, I didn't have any plans about what I was going to say. I just clicked record and just said what I said. And, I was already doing that type of stuff on Instagram and Facebook, but it wasn't really like getting very many views or whatever. Man, and I posted this video on TikTok and it went viral. And I had so many people saying, "Oh my God, like your words really touched me. I really needed to hear that." I had one person write me a message and was like, "Man, I was getting ready to kill myself today, and I saw your video, and I want to say thank you." You know, and that was like, well, it's bigger. It's bigger than just putting a video out here right now. Like, and there's been like time and Udi and Kinger and I've talked about this. There's been times where I've made videos and I'm like, bro, this video is crappy. Like, it don't sound good. This is not what I want to say, right? And you still post it anyway. And that video goes crazy. And it's like so many people say, this is what I really needed. You guys made me laugh, whatever it may be. And if that doesn't show you that it's bigger than you, then I don't really know what else is going to show you that it's bigger than you. So that one video is kind of what made me continue down the path of what I'm doing now. And now, even now on the way up to Indiana, I was telling Uri, man, like it's becoming a reality, man, because I've been on the go so much lately. Colorado and back from Colorado to Tennessee and then back from Tennessee and now to Indiana. And now when we get back home from Indiana, we got like 2 weeks off and then we're going back to Tennessee again and then South Carolina and then Georgia. So like this is taking us all over the place, bro. And it's all in the effort of making a difference, showing people who we really are and just loving people as we say all the time, just love people, love each other. So man, it's a great feeling, bro. Great feeling.
It is. And you actually answered my next question. It was when I was going to ask you is when did you realize it was actually bigger than what you were doing, right? Obviously you did it for yourself first, right? You put it out there because you wanted to put it out there and then you found out, oh damn, yeah, I'm having a little bit more bigger of an impact than I thought I was going to have. And I've had that feeling too where, I was trying to grow. And then I put out this, it's dubbed the reach out video. Mm-hmm. And all it is me saying, look, I see you, hear you need somebody to talk to, just reach out. Out. Start the conversation. And man, it blew up. Blew up. And I was like, whoa. And when we finally realized that what we're doing is bigger than ourselves, that's when I think we start realizing I can actually make a difference just by being myself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What happened is what you did is you're capitalizing. For lack of a better term, you're capitalizing on who you are and not being afraid to share it. Because when you're real, I've noticed like the videos that do really well are when they're raw, when they're real, when they're uncomfortable a little bit.
No.
When the information is a little bit, not a lot of people talk about it out loud. Mm-hmm. You start expressing the emotions people have inside, but now you're putting it out loud, and people are hearing it now. Like those are the ones that do. It's when you're real. It's when you're real, not when you're being fake, not when you're trying to be funny. It's just being funny, right? Like perfect example. It's hilarious. You guys were on Ride Along, and you guys did the TINS unit drink.
Oh yeah.
The electrical arm drink. It's just a group of friends being freaking hilarious, right? You guys are just a group of friends being dumb. Look, friends do this shit all the time. We do this shit all the time. We do stupid crap like that all the time. But you guys posted a video on it and whoa, blew up. Hilarious shit, right? And the fact that you specifically, that you're able to do that and just be real and just talk about real things, man, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Making a difference.
Yeah. And I'll probably recreate this video if God gives me the words again, man. But I had a video, man, and I was in uniform, so I had to take it down because my agency requested that. But I walked up to a car and I had the camera sitting in the driver's seat. And I walked up to the car and I opened the door and I said, "Hey, why are you sitting in the dark?" And then I kind of paused and I said, oh, you're lonely. I got you. I've been there. I've been there before. But sometimes God wants us to be in that lonely period just for a moment, just so we can realize what's really going on. I said, sometimes we go to get in the car with God and we go to get in the front seat and God says, hey, nah, I need you to sit in the back seat. And you're like, well, God, I really want to sit in the front and nobody else is in the front. And if I sit in the back, I'm going to be lonely. I want to sit up here with you, have company. God is like, nah, I get it, but I really need you to sit in the back. I need you to sit in the back because I need you to be able to see the whole room for really what it is. I need you to see everything that's going on. Because think about it, when you sit in the back of a room, you can literally see everything that's going on in front of you. You can see the people, you can see what they're doing. So when the time comes for you to expose yourself, or your time comes, you know everything that you need to know. You've dealt with everything that you need to deal with. You processed this. You said, I know this person likes to do this. I know this person is doing this. I know this person is looking at me this way. And man, that was like a big video, man. And I was just being real. I was just speaking from the heart, man. God put those words in my heart, man, and that's kind of where it went. So for me, man, it's all about being real, man. I tell my followers all the time, man, I'm never gonna be fake. I'm never gonna give you an answer that I think you want to hear. I'm gonna give you the answer that I feel. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I mean, if you don't want to follow me anymore, it sucks, but it is what it is. I'm not there for the followers. I'm there for, to spread God's word, to use my life as a testimony.
Well, I think you're doing a damn good job with it, man. I really do. I think you're making a pretty damn good difference in the world right now with what you're doing and with what you and your crew's doing. UD and King Reed and everybody else. What you guys have created and what you guys are doing, I think is huge. Is huge. You guys are making a difference. Not only are you making a difference for the namesake of the badge, but you're making a difference for people in general. You guys are not only humanizing the badge, you guys are not only showing that cops are humans too, that we're just normal people doing an abnormal job here, and we still have our struggles, we still deal with the same things, we still have friends, we still have family, we still have to go home and deal with the home life stresses. But even with all that, we can show that we still give a shit about you because we give a shit about ourselves, and it's an amazing thing to see. It really is.
Absolutely.
I wanna ask you how you got mixed up and tied up, because I want to get into what you guys are creating here. I want to give you a chance to explain what's going on and what you guys got planned, and as much as you can, because I know some of it's surprise stuff, and that's cool. But how did you get hooked up with these guys, and two, how did this idea of what you guys got coming up and what you guys are trying to build, how did that start? And then we'll start shutting it down. We'll start, because I know you're a little bit on a time crunch here, but I kind of want to get an idea of how you guys got together. How the hell did you get invited to the ride along? And then with all that, what possessed you guys to start doing what you guys are doing now, what you guys are trying to build now?
Yeah. So man, TikTok has been big, and that's really how all of us met. So with the exception of myself and Udi. Udi and I used to work together for the same agency. So but God puts you in situations sometimes, and you don't even know why. Like I said, when I left the agency I was with, I went to work with the agency that Udi and I ended up working with, and that was really only with an attempt to hold my certification as a law enforcement officer, because I didn't want to lose that. Me and Udi worked together. We started working together. I got put on his shift, and we introduced myself, and we just clicked. It was, yes, we both had a ton of law enforcement experience at that time. Like I said, I had SWAT on my background. So we never really worried about having each other's back and officer safety issues. So we just talked about our lifestyles, man. And I learned about him losing his mother at an early age. And he learned about me losing my dad, and Not necessarily having the best relationship with my mother at all times. And like I said, we just clicked, clicked so much, in fact, that even after Udi left the agency and went to another agency, we stayed connected, right? And then me and Udi went live on Instagram one day, and it turned into like a 3-4 hour session on Instagram. We got off and got back on, got off and got back on. And if we first were joking, we were joking like amongst each other, and people were tuning in and laughing with it. And then it just took this turn, man, and it became super spiritual. Like, I think somebody was like, hey, look, I really need prayer, I'm going through this. And it just became super spiritual. And me and Udi, like, immediately stopped joking and started praying and started talking about our faith and how we got through this and got through that. And man, it was so amazing. And our inboxes, man, after we got off, was just blowing up with people like, oh my God, you guys are great. I really needed that, So me and Udi called each other the next day. No, we called each other the same night after we got off the phone, or after we got off Instagram, which was like 1 o'clock in the morning. It's like, bro, that's crazy. Like, I never respected that. That's crazy, bro. And I was like, bro, we should do this like once a week, you know? So it turned into a once a week thing. We're doing it once a week. And then, we started our nonprofit, of Love Behind the Badge. And that was really the motto when we started that was, yes, we're cops, but we love you. That's what we wanted people to know. Yeah, we're cops, but we love you, regardless of the badge. So me and Udi was connected, and then next thing you know, Udi connected with Kingery. So then in return, I connected with Kingery. So now it's me, Udi, Kingery, and now we're talking. We're like, bro, it's bigger than law enforcement, bro. It's bigger than humanizing the badge, bro. Like, this thing is big. So we were all talking in a group text, and we're like, bro, we should start doing like motivational shows. We should start getting linked in. And then, but we was like, man, it's hard because of COVID, and, but then after that conversation, next thing you know, Do You Even Taco, he posted a video and was like, I want to go on a ride along. I want to go on a ride along with a cop. Just doing that funny video. And that went viral, and Kingery reaction to it was like, hey, bro, you can come do a ride along with me. So then Kingery invited myself and Udi. And then next thing you know, Jimmy Jones and TR and Georgia, make sure I'm not missing anybody, and Kevin Lawson, all got on board and was like, yeah, I would like to be involved in this. And Ride Along 1 happened. And unfortunately, due to work, I wasn't able to make Ride Along 1, but Ride Along 1 happened, and it's just a great experience for those guys that came up to Indiana, man. And it blew up on TikTok, and people was like, yeah, we want more. And for me, even not being there, I was able to see how big this thing was going to be, man. And so then we just kept doing ride-alongs, man. And honestly, it just kept progressing, man. And it just kept getting better. And as you can see, with each ride-along, it gets better and better and better. And the reason why is because we said as a group, as 8 men, that we will not waver. No matter what, we will not waver away from our faith for God. And that's what this is, man. It's a walk with God right now. Because it may lead, if it gets big enough, it may lead to us leaving our jobs in a full-time perspective, right? And it may lead to us doing this social media thing as a full-time perspective. And we're totally open to that, if that is what God leads us to, right? But it's really, man, all of this right now is really in God's hand, to be completely honest.
Well, I think what you guys got going on is definitely growing, and it's growing at a phenomenal pace. Yeah. And what you guys are about is huge. And the faith and hope that you're giving to people just by being yourselves, showing y'all's friendship, showing y'all's beliefs is very refreshing in the world that we live in right now. And I think it's huge what you guys are doing. Absolutely. And I would love to be a part of it at some point and help you all out in any way that I can. I think this is going to help a little bit too, maybe reach a different type of audience for you. And I appreciate you coming on because look, I told you about the foundation that I started, the nonprofit foundation, right? The What Makes Us Fire nonprofit foundation. And our mission is to help all civil service members, be it military, first responders, active or retired, and volunteers, because volunteers don't get a whole lot of shit. But, our mission is to help them get inpatient mental health treatment, right? And the way we do that, the way we're going to help them is we're going to take care of all financial costs associated with that treatment. Right now, as a civil service member, as a first responder, it's kind of hard for us to find help. Right, it's hard for us to find people that actually can help a civil service member, first responder. We're a different breed. Let's be honest. So that's the whole point of this. But not only are we going to help with the financial costs associated with the actual treatment, we're going to take care of their families while they're taking care of themselves. So when you're in a facility, you're dedicated to that facility. You're dedicated to that program. And you got to leave your family for anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 months because you got to be in that program. You can't work. You ain't going to work. You ain't doing nothing. So we're going to take care of their family while they're taking care of themselves.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
and I want to connect you with another partner of ours. I think she's overseas or she's in another country somewhere, but she does the same thing. And I want to connect you because I think that could be big, bro. You guys could go worldwide on this thing, bro.
And that's the plan. We want to go worldwide. Yeah. Right now we're North America right now, but the plan is to go worldwide. And we're also creating a peer support network where you're going to be able to call in and you'll be able to talk to another first responder, another military veteran and or active and or just somebody to talk to. We're creating a mentorship program where you will have a mentor to help you and talk to you whenever you need. We're creating motivational speaking events where you'll be able to come purchase the ticket and all proceeds go to the foundation, where you're going to be able to sit in a room with Officer Scales. He's going to stand up in front of you and give you his testimony and talk to you about his story. And then at the end, whoever comes will have like a 3 to 4 person panel where people are going to be able to do a live Q&A right there, get to talk to you, get to meet you. And the whole idea is hoping that they're going to hear something and learn something to where they get that spark to start the conversation for themselves, to start working on themselves, to start getting better for themselves. Look, you need to be better for you and for you first.
Right.
Because if you ain't 100% good for you, how are you expecting to be 100% for anybody else in this world, for anybody else in your life? Right. And the only person stopping you from being the best you can be for you is you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So the fact that you came on, and I told you about this when we had our phone call prior to the interview, that you coming on is showing that you support this, and I greatly appreciate it. Yeah. I want to definitely work with you guys and see if maybe we can help spread each other's message, spread each other's words, spread each other's idea of what we're doing. Because I think both of our groups have our own perspective and our own avenues of how we're helping people. Right. And I would love to see if I can get you guys on board, or if we can come on board with you guys, even if it's just a partnership in something. We can get Love Behind the Badge and What Makes Us Fire Foundation together and create something, even if it's just one event, something to where we can help each other out. I think we can help a lot of people.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I'm going to start winding this down because I know you got to get going here in a little bit. We've been talking for about an hour and a half or so already. Dang. We talked about a lot in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, good time.
Yeah. But before I do, man, I want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, brother. It takes a lot to come on and share your story and be open and honest. I don't know if you shared your history like you did. You definitely shared something with us that you said you never told anybody about, and what you did after that call. Yeah. And the fact that you were able to share that here on the show with me, I think is huge, man, and I appreciate that. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to get to know you even more so now, more than just on what you share on TikTok. They're going to get to see a little bit more of the human aspect of you, Josh, and I think that's awesome that you're able to open yourself up to do that, brother, and I really do appreciate it. The way I usually start winding down the show is I ask three questions. It's just a little bit to get to know you a little bit more, get to hear your ideas and how you think a little bit more. Usually it sparks another 5-10 minute conversation. If it doesn't, no big deal. No right or wrong answer. But the first question is a kind of a twofold question. Okay. Say you got your own podcast. let's just say you have your own podcast. I think you said something to the effect that you might have your own podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Real quick, what is your podcast name?
It's called Simply Real, man. Simply Real with love behind the flash.
All right. Let's say we're on Simply Real, right? But your guest is Joshua Scales, better known as Officer Scales.
Wow.
And you are interviewing yourself. What's the one question you would have asked yourself, and or piece of information that you'd like to give that maybe we didn't touch on?
I think that the first thing that comes to my head, man, and we kind of touched on it, but I kind of answered it. But the first thing that comes to my head as far as the question is, what keeps you going? You know, like what keeps you going? For me, it's a lot of things. It's faith. It's my kids. It's people expressing their newfound hope, to me. Those are the things that keep me going. But, I think what keeps people going is different on everybody's own perspective. For you, it might be your kids. For somebody else, it might be their mother. For somebody else, it might be, their career, whatever it is that makes you tick, whatever it is that makes you, motivated, that is what you gotta do, and that's what you gotta use for that situation.
I actually really do like that question because, I've heard that question before that a lot of people like to ask themselves that. Yeah. And I think it's crazy that it's a question that we sometimes still have to fall back on sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
When we're feeling down, we're feeling like we're a little bit broken or defeated, and we sit back and ask ourselves, all right, am I forgetting what's keeping me going here? Mm-hmm. And did I forget why I'm doing what I'm doing?
Right.
And so we got to sit back and ask ourselves, hey, let's remember what it is that's keeping us going here. Mm-hmm. Let's find that spark again. It's starting to wear out. Maybe I'm getting sidetracked. Maybe I'm not really, I'm forgetting what it was that was keeping me going here. Let me remember here for a minute. Let me sit back and ask that question. What is it that's keeping me going? What is it that's making me continue to do the things that I'm doing?
Absolutely.
Has it changed? Or is there something to add on to it?
Right.
Man, that's a really good question that I think a lot of us need to ask ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot more. We need to ask ourselves a lot more.
Yep.
My second question to you is a very simple one, brother. Do you have any questions for me? Simple as that. And I'm an open book, man, so you can ask me anything you want.
Man, what made you want to, start the podcast and your nonprofit as far as, helping people with mental illness?
It's a little bit of a deep story, but I'm going to try to make it real quick. So in, July of last year, July of last year, I started having an idea of sharing the idea that we're humans. Civil service members are humans because we get this, idea attached to what we do that we're heroes. And while we appreciate that sentiment and we appreciate that thought, it sometimes feels like a little bit of a high standard to live up to at times. And it doesn't allow us to be human. It doesn't allow us to make mistakes. It doesn't allow us to trip and fall because heroes don't do that. Heroes are the ones that you call when you tripped and fall. They're the ones that are supposed to be, but we're human beings. We trip, we fall, we fuck up. It happens. And so I wanted to start sharing that idea. And what really got me was, last year, New York City firefighters, were caught on camera dragging some people out of a burning building. And the way they were being dragged out is how we were taught. But for people that are a little bit ignorant to the idea of how we're trained to do stuff, they saw it happen. They're like, oh, why were they so rough with them? Why did they drag them like that? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's the way we're trained, and we're keeping them out of smoke. We're dragging them on the ground like that because we're keeping them safe. Yeah, it doesn't look pretty. They don't look pretty.
No,
they don't look pretty.
Or would you prefer to have scratches on your body or be dead?
Exactly. And But it goes back to the whole videos like you were talking about earlier. You know, people see a small clip of a cop taking down a perpetrator or detaining somebody, and it looks rough.
Right.
Yeah, it don't look pretty, but
Right.
it's for everybody else's safety. But people don't understand that.
Right.
And so I wanted to start sharing, like, look, we're human beings. We make mistakes. I know it don't look pretty at times, but we can't live up to this hero mentality that you give us all the time. And everybody's idea of a hero is different. So I wanted to share who we are as human beings, normal people doing an abnormal job. And while I'm doing all the research to start a podcast, and the first episode aired on August 3rd, and it was just a background of who I was. And it started picking up. I was like, all right, cool. So I kept going. Now, while I'm going through all this, I'm battling my demons, battling my depression. I didn't know it was depression. I didn't know it was anxiety. I didn't know it was PTSD. Until one day on September 20th, my depression almost won. And I had to go seek treatment and help. And through that process, I started sharing my story on social media. And when I started sharing my story on social media, I started to realize there's a lot of other civil service members that are looking for other civil service members sharing their story, because they're having a hard time as well. And they just, it's crazy. Man, I felt that. I've been feeling this way too. Thank you for sharing. I didn't know how to say it. You said it exactly the way that's in my head. And I was like, all right, cool. All right. This is where the podcast can start going. And so I started wanting to kill the stigma. I know it's early, man. I know the story's boring. You don't gotta yawn on that.
Yeah, so Kinger and them kept me up all night, bro. They kept me up till like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I was like, man, I gotta get up early in the morning. What is that?
But yeah, and so I'm dealing with all this, and so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start killing the stigma. I'm gonna start killing the idea that we can't talk about mental health in our profession, because the numbers are too staggering, and I wanted to bring awareness and start trying to make a difference by just bringing awareness. Well, during my process and trying to go get help, I had to forego going to a mental health facility because I couldn't afford it, the finances. And so I came up with this crazy idea of creating a nonprofit to where nobody else would have to make the decision that I had to make, right? I do not want finances to be a deciding factor on whether or not a fellow brother or sister goes and gets the help that they need or that they're seeking. And so I had this idea, and it started to grow. And it started fast. I'm talking about, we had lawyers in the first 2 weeks fast. We had paperwork in the first 2 weeks fast. We had our entity in the first month. We had our DBA in the first month. With the state of Texas, we're a nonprofit. The IRS has a whole lot of paperwork. We have lawyers. We have our trademark now. We have our copyrights being worked on. It's just crazy how fast. I mean, we're literally 3 months old, and we are a legit nonprofit. Like, not just calling ourselves nonprofit. We got all the paperwork, got all the legal paperwork, got the business plan still being written up, still being tweaked. We got our directors, we got our board, we got our website, and then I tied the podcast to be a part of the nonprofit. We got our online store. It just literally in 3 months, it's turned into an actual thing.
Yeah.
Now we're still in our fundraising, because I started all this with a lot of overhead needed, but with no capital, absolutely none. Wow. And so everybody that's involved right now is still all volunteer, just like you guys, right? Just like you guys, everything's all volunteer. But just like you guys, if this thing grows, by the grace of God, if this thing grows, I'll retire early. And I will dedicate my life to helping my brothers and sisters stay alive so they can continue doing the job on the streets. I will do my job in making sure that they're right? Because first responders, civil service members are killing themselves 4 times more than the general public. For every 1 suicide in the general public, there's 4 suicides in civil service.
It's crazy numbers, bro.
Yeah. We're 10 times more likely to develop a mental health disease. For every 1 person in the general public that develops a mental health disease, there's 10 of us that develop a mental health disease. That's crazy. I want to make a dent in those numbers. I want to make it easier for our civil service members to get that help. And so that's what it was, man. That's what it was. It was me going through my experience and then seeing that there was a need for something that I didn't have and wanting to make sure that nobody else had to go through what I went through and my family had to go through.
That's awesome. Sounds like we got a very similar story on that aspect, bro. So that's awesome, bro. I'm glad you still here. I'm glad you fought through that, man, because as we know, man, some people give into it, man, and so I'm glad you were strong enough to fight through that, bro.
Yeah, it was scary because when I read the statistics, I was just like, I was almost one of those statistics.
Oh yeah, bro, it's super scary, bro. It's super scary.
Yeah. Extremely scary. And I was blessed, and I'm blessed by meeting people like you and having friends like you now that I can turn to and talk to whenever I'm feeling like, hey man, I need somebody to talk to. I know I can give you a call, Josh. I know I can give Peter a call. I know I can give Pops a call. You know, like it's crazy what this with this social media and the podcast and just reaching out, opening up and reaching out and starting the conversation has opened up friendships and avenues to help me get better. Mm-hmm. But also in the process helping others get better that I never thought would have been possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But that's how it started, man. I tried to make that as quick as possible.
No, you're good, man. That's awesome, bro. That's an awesome story, man. Awesome story, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it. My last question, brother. You're on the show What Makes Us Fire. You're on the podcast What Makes Us Fire. Now, a lot of people are going to be listening to the show. What Makes Us Fire Family are going to listen to the show. A lot of them sometimes listen to it and think what they're hearing is what it is that makes this person a civil service member. So when you think fire, think civil service, right? A first responder, military, whatever. But I think it's more of a question of what do you think it is within us that allows us to continue to make that sacrifice of ourselves to help others? What is it about first responders, civil service members what is it that makes us civil service? What is it that makes us fire? Where does it come from?
I think, as we talked about before, it's your heart, bro. I mean, it's your heart. It's your willingness to put your life on the line for people that you don't even know. I mean, that just says a lot about a person in this. I mean, for you guys run into fires. For police officers, they run towards bullets. You know, so it's all about the want and the will to help people. And once again, it goes back to the mindset of it's bigger than me. Like, and that's what this profession is. Civil service is, as long as you're in it for the right things, it's bigger than you. It's bigger than just your life. It's about saving people. It's about helping people who are in the worst situations of their lives sometimes, you know, and that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Yeah, but I guess my question is, where did that sentiment come from? Where did that idea come from? Because here's the thing, man. Look in your own agency. How many different types of people are there, right? It don't matter if you're white, black, Asian, green, blue. It doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, lesbian, binary. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim, atheist, Christian. We have in our agencies and what we do, we have a whole slew of different backgrounds, right? A whole slew of different backgrounds, but yet all of us, every single one of us, decided to do the job.
Right. I think there's a few things that go into it. I think experiences in life. You know, for me, seeing my mother beat my father and the negative effects that had on myself and my mother, I wanted to help kids, and people fight against that feeling. You know, so one experiences, and for some people, it's what they know. Like their parents were firefighters, their, you know, grandfather, like it just runs in their family. And once again, it goes back to that aspect of you are what you know, right? You are what you grow up around. So for many people, if you grow up around law enforcement, you grow up around fire, EMS, whatever, that's what you know. But for me, and it sounds like for you as well, life experiences, and it leads you to want to make a change, you want to make a difference and help people. And I think for 98 to 99% of us, that's exactly what it is. You want to make a difference. You want to help. You want to promote change, and that's why you do what you do. And I hope that's it. Is that answering your question?
Almost, but I like your explanation because I haven't heard it said that way before. I think experiences is what kind of drives us to do it. That's actually really good because it doesn't matter who you are and what your background is, what your moralistic backgrounds are, how you identify, what you don't identify, but your experience in life gave you that push to continue doing it.
Yeah.
And all of us have similar experiences, no matter our backgrounds.
Wow.
We have similar experiences. So that's actually that's probably one of the closest answers that I can get that would be like, you know what? That makes more sense than anything else. Experiences in life. Because experiences, they're not, I mean, yes, there are certain experiences that are pertaining to one set of culture or group or community. That makes sense. But life experience itself, we all go through the same type of shit all the time. Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing.
Yep.
Well, Josh, man, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you coming on the show. Man, it's been an amazing conversation. It has been eye-opening to get to know you better as a human being, as a brother, as a fellow civil service member, now as a friend. Brother, if you ever need anything, you know you can give me a call.
Sure.
You can always give me a text. Real quick, where can the What Makes Us Fire family and everybody listening, where can they find you? How can they reach you? And then give us a little bit of the nonprofit you got going on. Where can they find all that?
Yeah, man. So obviously I'm all over the place, man. The simplest way to find everything that you need at one time is based on this is my TikTok. If you go to my bio, I have my Linktree link right in there. It has everything you need from WMUFScales.com to LoveBehindTheBadge.com to Facebook to Instagram. It has all of those links right there within that one link. That way you just click there and go. So that's really the easiest way to access it.
And what's your tag on TikTok?
It's officer_scales.
Officer_scales. SCALES. You guys, go check them out. Go become a part of the Officer Scales family. Go be a part behind Love Behind the Badge family. Let's show them support. Let's help them grow. I think what they're doing is a huge thing. I definitely think Love Behind the Badge and the What Makes Us Fire Foundation is going to have something coming up here pretty soon. We're going to work on it. I promise we're going to get something done. But man, again, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother. You got anything else to say? One last thing?
Nah, man. I mean, my motto, man, I live by, man. Hey, it's your life. It's your book. It's your story. It's God's time. Let's get it.
Let's get it. All right, What Makes Us Fire family. This is Officer Scales. Thank you again, Josh, man. You're amazing. Y'all have fun. Be safe. Get out there and show some love and peace out in the world. You never know who's going to need it. You never know if you're going to be the one to make the difference. And being the difference, it feels pretty damn good. Be the change you want to see in the world, and don't let the world dictate how you want to see it change. Don't get walked all over. Just be better. Peace.
Hey, no doubt.
All right, y'all. That was Officer Scales. Man, I want to say thank you to him again for coming on the show. What an inspiration he is becoming for people. The fact that he uses his spirituality and his faith to show love and support for others, no matter where you come from. The idea that using his faith helps save him just shows that anything is possible. Any avenue for your mental health is possible, as long as it's healthy. I want to say thank you to him for letting us dive into his background, for giving us a sneak peek into his life that I'm sure some of you've never heard before. Josh, brother, thank you. Side note, you better hurry up and tell Kingry and Udi to contact me to get on the show. Hurry up. All right, that was it. Y'all, What Makes Us Fire family, if you find yourself in a crisis now, I want you to do something for me. I want you to make a phone call. I want you to find the strength within yourself to start the conversation. Look, I know it ain't easy. And when we're in a dark space, we don't really want to talk to anybody, let alone ourselves. But if you need help right here, right now, I urge you to call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. The number is 1-800-273-8255. It's 100% confidential, 100% anonymous, and 100% free. Start the conversation. If calling isn't for you, that's fine. Go to suicidepreventionlifeline.org. There you'll find a multitude of resources that will help you start your journey on mental health. I do have to put a disclaimer that the National Suicide Prevention Hotline and the suicidepreventionlifeline.org do not know that I promote them in any way, shape, or form, and I do not get any type of anything from them. I just know they're there to help, and they can help. If you want to learn more about the What Makes Us Fire Foundation, please visit WhatMakesUsFire.com. You can also follow us on all your social media platforms at TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, with the tag at WhatMakesUsFire. Also, you can check out these shows on YouTube with What Makes Us Fire Space Podcast. And remember, if you want to reach out to me, you can always email me at whatmakesusfire@yahoo.com. I try to get to you all, but we're growing. Very busy. The only way this is going to grow is through you. If you find it in your heart, please make a donation. Your donation goes to help build the foundation for the foundation. We're a baby nonprofit, and we're trying to get the engine as strong as we can to make sure the mission does not fail. We won't fail. I won't allow it. And I know my family's got my back. Much love to y'all. Stay safe. Peace.